Who knows, maybe we'll pay off our $35 trillion, hand them a little crypto check, right? We'll hand them a little Bitcoin and wipe out our $35 trillion.
But how do you...
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more. We're going to win so much. I love you.
But when you go all in on something, I would say that does take conviction. Now, your conviction might be...
How many chairs are you sitting on right now?
One.
Are you all in on the chair? The point really is you put on one pair of glasses. You've got one pair of AirPods right now. You're looking at me through one screen. You're using one microphone. That's a one microphone. Like, you trust it? Is that conviction? Seems kind of scary. Why don't you diversify? Why don't you use 10 microphones? The point really is things in your life. Do you drive in 10 cars at the same time or one car at one time? Do you drive down one street? Aren't you afraid that you're driving down one street? Do you take a different way? You know? So my point really is, if you're you get on one airplane, are you convicted? You put your entire family on the one airplane, aren't you afraid? Asset. Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right? Right? There's no second best. Okay. But take all your money, buy Bitcoin, then take all your time, figure out how to borrow more money to buy more Bitcoin, then take all your time and figure out what you can sell to buy Bitcoin. And if you absolutely love the thing that you don't want to sell it, go mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with it. And if you've got a business that you love because your family works for the business that's in your family for 37 years and you can't bear to sell it, mortgage it, finance it, and convert the proceeds into the hardest money on earth.
You didn't have to cut me off. Think I like it never happened, that we were nothing. I don't even need your love, but you treat me like a stranger and I feel so loved. No, you didn't have to stoop so low. Have your friends collect your records and then change your number. I guess that I don't need that though. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Now you're just somebody that I used to know. Now you're just somebody that I used to know.
Woo! What's going on, you guys? It is Dollar Cost Crypto here with the Federal Reserve Breakdown 2025. First one of 2025, ladies and gentlemen. Celebration, brothers. It's a celebration, man. It's going to be spicy.
Good afternoon. My colleagues and I have researched a future-proof method to hedge against inflation in the current financial climate. After discussion with a prominent Atlanta-based AI researching lab, we've developed a modern monetary system. The Federal Reserve will be bridging all assets to AI Layer 2, creating a NIGA to NIGA electronic cash standard. This is in effect immediately. Welcome to the future.
No, N2, baby. N2. Bro, I love that community so much, dude. I love N2. Gosh damn, dude. I'm going to say N2 on Fresh and Fit, man. But for people who don't know, man, the Crypto Mindset course is going live February 7th, son. You want to get on all the gains? You want to learn how to buy crypto? You want to learn how to wheel and deal in the crypto space? How to yield farm? How to
how they legends, they doing podcasts. They said, we make more money than you, nigga. We sit here and make more money than you. I know you don't want to play the Cash App, open your bank account game on the phone when we see each other. I know you don't want to open your phones up and see how much niggas got in the account. You made $2 million.
I know you don't want no ATM battle, nigga.
Nigga don't want to, nigga, we make more money than you, nigga. You talking about, they podcast. Nigga, because we getting chicken. We make more money than you. You better come when you want a job.
Oh my God, man. Is the audio good and everything, man? The Matrix likes to attack me, bro. It's weird, right? I'm doing all this secret shadowy supercoder stuff. And then magically when I go live, when I'm telling y'all to buy the bottom and then now it pumps. But it's really interesting, man. So I've been doing these Federal Reserve breakdowns since 2021, basically. I had been doing them a little privately in 2020. But there wasn't really that much news other than like Money Go Burr, which was really great at the time. And I really started bringing these to the forefront around like the middle of 2021, and I made them like a regular thing on my channel, especially since the middle of 22. So, yeah, man. So without further ado, we're gonna go into it. Jerome Powell is under a little pressure today from President Trump. The media's kind of looking like they're kind of disrespecting Jerome. I think Jerome has done a good job, but the Federal Reserve's number one mandates is to protect their ability to print money. They could say all this other bullshit. They will crush the economy and have people get fired if that means that that protects their ability to print dollars. And honestly, Tegan, at this point, bro, I'm not even sure. Bro. But Trump said that he's putting pressure on Jerome, and he's going to have to cut, bro, at some point. But we're going to go into it. There's been a couple of things. Obviously, I've been on Twitter and stuff. If you ain't blind, you've seen a couple of videos and stuff of them talking about banks accepting crypto, if that's okay, as long as they can let the customers know, which is interesting. I know why everyone's happy that is. I mean, hey, more money, coins pump, but at the same time, it's getting away from what we created crypto to do. But like I've said for a long time, it's the golden cage. Get your bread before it's all gilded out, right? But without ado, give me 1 second. Let me, there we go. Let me exit that out right there. He said he didn't even talk to Trump. That's probably a lie. Shout out to the Associated Press. And away we go. Let me boost this up a little. Yeah, here we go. We'll see how dramatically he slams that door open. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum, bum. Let's see. Any second. Oh, Jesus, Jerome. Take your time, brother. Take your sweet, sweet time. Shadow recovering very well, man. One last little thing. Your boy, Andre, decided just to buy like $2.2 million of Phantom. He bought it all on Shadow. Just sending all the volume to Shadow, bro. There's like the Dex wars are happening right now, and people are crying right now. Why isn't nothing happening to my Dex? Or why isn't the volume going to Equalizer? Well, if you're at the Crypto Mindset meetup, you know why. And if you're the next Crypto Mindset course, I'm going to tell you too. But I ain't going to say it on here. Type 1 if you can hear Jerome talk. Fuck your puts.
Good afternoon. My colleagues and I remain squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people.
As long as it's not detriment to their ability to print dollars.
The economy is strong, is strong overall, and has made significant progress toward our goals over the past 2 years. Labor market conditions have cooled from their formerly overheated state and remain solid. Inflation has moved much.
Yeah, I'll see if I can turn it up a little more. These videos are notoriously quiet. There's like almost everyone has the same problem. Let me see if I can turn up the master controls here. Yeah, it's all turned up.
Closer to our 2% longer run goal, though it remains somewhat elevated. In support of our goals, today the Federal Open Market Committee decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged and to reduce our securities holdings. I'll have more to say about monetary policy after briefly reviewing economic developments.
So their rates are not going to increase right now. So rates are currently at 4.5 to 4.25% interest rates. So they have been unmoved. Probably not a great idea. I think they should be cut further, but and they need to be, but
need to reduce our securities holdings. I'll have more to say about monetary policy after briefly reviewing economic developments. Recent indicators suggest that economic activity has continued to expand at a solid pace. For 2024 as a whole, GDP looks to have risen above 2%, bolstered by resilient consumer spending. Investment in equipment and intangibles appears to have slowed in the fourth quarter, but was strong for the year overall. Following weakness in the middle of last year, activity in the housing sector seems to have stabilized.
That's probably one of the things that's angering them the most right now. They had pretty much already crushed most of the economy already to where they wanted to in order to get inflation down. But they're not that happy about it because that was one sector that was really holding off. And honestly, I think we would have saw a broader real estate crash. But always remember this. the crash that happens most closest to you is not going to be the crash that happens next in the economy. If you get most of you guys in your kind of lexicon of memory, right? You got the biggest crash you guys probably have like lived through was 2008, 2009. Whether it be through you guys were little kids and you saw your parents struggling, or you were a teenager and you're like, whoa, what's going on? Or you were entering the workforce and we're like, oh my God, this is bad. It probably was one of the single-handedly greatest ones that's happened to you in your lifetime. Unless you're a person that was like teenager or an adult during the 80s, you know what I mean? That was a quite significant one because it hit Americans where it hurts most, which is in housing. The 2001 crash, which was a pretty much a self-made fucking crash, let's just be honest, right? With Android 19 and disrupting the supply chain, was less impactful, but still relevant, right? When you have a big crash like that, things get shuffled around and delevered a little bit. But regardless or not, Jerome, this is one thing why they didn't cut rates, because they could have already started cutting rates by the January of 2024. They waited until the middle of 2024 to start cutting rates. And I think that was a huge mistake. I've been saying since January, and especially the March. Let me just double check the meetings here and stuff like that for last year. The March meeting, March 20th. Let me see if I can show you guys real quick. So March 20. So this is 2024. I was already saying by here they could cut. By here I was screaming it, and I was like, "What is going on?" And finally, around here they finally started cutting. Them getting an extra 25 or 50 extra basis points off, ahead of schedule and stuff would really well have helped things out right now, where I don't think the economy would have been under so much pressure, especially the real estate side. But they were wanting to. They kind of like, wow, we kind of like did a soft landing here, but we don't like that there's still not as much damage in the real estate sector. So we want the real estate to take some more pain. So, but here's what's happening, right? If you guys don't know, I'll ask the guys in the chat right now. Generationally speaking, what is the big event happening right now to the generations? What large economic generational event is happening right now? Baby boomers retiring. Baby boomers leaving the workplace. Baby boomers essentially trying to move to warmer climates. So the boomers have locked in wealth no matter what, even if house prices go down. So there's going to be there's a lot of selling, but there's also a lot of buying as well, right? They're selling properties here or giving properties off. We're in the middle of the largest generational wealth transfer in history. It's being done through real estate business, equities, and crypto, right? Asset managers are slowly and surely being allowed to finally turn some of the boomer wealth into crypto, slowly but surely, through like ETFs, through Bitcoin and Ethereum, and future ETFs, Doge, maybe XRP, Litecoin, and a host of other ETFs that I think will probably like mutual fund ETFs, like where it's like a basket of cryptos versus just a single type of ETF. So every day boomers are retiring. Some boomers are still working, of course, but basically every boomer is now in retirement age that can collect Social Security check. And when people get to be about that age, they're basically not contributing anymore to their 401ks. And so one of the reasons why the system on a worldwide scale is pretty wonky right now is because you have the baby boomers across the planet no longer really contributing much in terms of inflows into the equities market and the real estate market on a whole, in terms of, unless they're just house swapping. So when wealth transfer for Gen Z, oh bro, jam. a long ways away. I mean, it's happening too. I mean, if you're older Gen Z, you're gonna make it's in crypto or business. Unless you have a rich family, you're grandpa's leaving you money, right? But most of the wealth transfer is it's flowing down to X or millennial, basically. Boom. All right, let's get back to it.
In the labor market, conditions remain solid. Payroll job gains averaged 170,000 per month over the past 3 months. Following earlier increases, the unemployment rate has stabilized since the middle of last year, and at 4.1% in December remains low. Nominal wage growth has eased over the
It's always nice to see the crowd here. One interesting thing, I think this is only for Trump's side, but like they're doing like applications for new media tickets and stuff. So it's like you're like a YouTube channel and stuff, like you might be able to actually get a press badge. Like DCC from Onion. That'd be Can you imagine? That'd be so funny. One of us is right here in one of these spots right here or over here.
the past year, and the jobs to workers gap has narrowed. Overall, a wide set of indicators suggest that conditions in the labor market are broadly in balance. The labor market is not a source of significant inflationary pressures. Inflation has eased significantly over the past 2 years, but remains somewhat elevated relative to our 2% longer run goal.
So yeah, inflation has gone down, but the havoc of inflation's already happened. So increased prices have happened, which have increased way past the average American's essentially growth in income. So Americans are getting squeezed out because once prices go up, they don't really go down. You could have some savings towards energy. That's why Trump is focusing so much on crushing energy prices, which could lower prices or at the very least no longer have them increase. But having gasoline drop by $1.50 is a huge tax savings and a huge lifts a big burden on the economy, and then that could bring back some extra deals in terms of transport and stuff. But that's why like Trump's focusing so much on energy.
Estimates based on the Consumer Price Index and other data indicate that total PCE prices rose 2.6% over the 12 months ending in December, and that excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.8%. Longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored, as reflected in a broad range of surveys of households, businesses, and forecasters, as well as measures from financial markets. Our monetary policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. We see the risks to achieving our employment and inflation goals as being roughly in balance, and we are attentive to the risks on both sides of our mandate. Over the course of our 3 previous meetings, we lowered our policy rate by a full percentage point from its peak. That recalibration of our policy stance was appropriate in light of the progress on inflation and the rebalancing in the labor market. With our policy stance significantly less restrictive than it had been and the economy remaining strong, we do not need to be in a hurry to adjust our policy stance. At today's meeting, the committee—
Wrong. Jerome, if that's even your name. Oh, bro, there's going to be a hurry, bro. Trump's going to be on your butt, bro. There's no more geriatric in office.
He decided to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 4.25% to 4.5%. We know that reducing policy restraint too fast or too much could hinder progress on inflation. At the same time, reducing policy restraint too slowly or too little could unduly weaken economic activity and employment. In considering the extent and timing of additional adjustments to the target range for the federal funds rate, the committee will assess incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. We're not on any preset course. As the economy evolves, we will adjust our policy stance in a manner that best promotes our maximum employment and price stability goals. If the economy remains strong and inflation does not continue to move sustainably toward 2%, we can maintain policy restraint for longer. If the labor market were to weaken unexpectedly or inflation were to fall more quickly than anticipated, we can ease policy accordingly. Policy is well positioned to deal with the risks and uncertainties that we face in pursuing both sides of our dual mandate. As we previously announced, our 5-year review of our monetary policy framework is taking place this year. At this meeting, the committee began its discussions by reviewing the context and outcomes of our previous review that concluded in 2020, as well as the experiences of other central banks in conducting reviews. Our review will again include outreach and public events involving a wide range of parties, including Fed Listens events around the country and a research conference in May. Throughout this process, we will be open to new ideas and critical feedback, and we will take on board lessons of the last 5 years in determining our findings. We intend to wrap up the review by late summer. I would note that the committee's 2% longer run inflation goal will be retained and will not be a focus of the review. The Fed has been assigned 2 goals for monetary policy: maximum employment and stable prices. We remain committed to supporting maximum employment, bringing inflation sustainably to our 2% goal, and keeping longer run inflation expectations well anchored. Our success in delivering on these goals matters to all Americans. We understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. We at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
I will, before the questions right here, normally I wouldn't say this is this is going to happen, but because Trump is in office, if Jerome and the Federal Reserve really piss him off, Trump legitimately could say, why the fuck, like, why do we have to listen to you? You know, it's about time that the Federal Reserve stops becoming an independent agency unto itself, and it should become a federal controlled branch or whatever, or part of the government, basically. So Trump might actually say, like, we're stripping the Fed of its power and we're creating a new Fed within the government, within the Treasury. It's not a 0% anymore. And the way, that Trump's been doing, shout out to Colombia, the fastest trade fold in history within, I think 35 minutes. I think Trump's got people real scared and stuff. I mean, in the legacy market, which is good. So we'll see.
Chairman, Steve Leisman from CNBC. Mr. Chairman, at a event in Davos, or to Davos anyway, the president said he'll demand that interest rates drop immediately. So I guess I have a 3-part question. Has the president done this to you? Has he made that demand? Secondly, what is your response to that? And third, what effect, if any, does a president making these kind of remarks have on policy? Thank you.
First fucking question out the box, bro. First question out of the box, bro.
And secondly, what is your response to that? And third, what effect, if any, does a president making these kind of remarks have on policy? Thank you.
3 questions. I'm seeing it really as 1 question, though. So I'm not going to have any response or comment whatsoever on what the president said. It's not appropriate for me to do so. The public should be confident that we will continue to do our work as we always have, focusing on using our tools to achieve our goals and really keeping our heads down and doing our work. And that's how we best serve the public.
Can you just comment on whether he's physically communicated his demand to you?
I've had no contact.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nick Timmeros, The Wall Street Journal. Chair Powell, you and several of your colleagues said around the time of the last meeting that your policy stance was meaningfully restrictive. Given economic and financial market developments since then, how has your confidence changed in an assessment that says interest rates are meaningfully restrictive?
I don't think that my assessment really has changed. I mean, a couple of things have happened. We've gotten more strong data, but we've also seen rates move up at the long end, which could represent a tightening in financial conditions. I think if we look back,
I mean, they have tightened and stuff. So, normally on some of these bonds are at par or slightly above. There's rates much higher, right? I mean, it's depending on where you're looking at. If you try to get a 30-year mortgage, right, you're paying about like 6.5%, 7%, maybe. Maybe you got a sweetheart deal, maybe it's like low sixes, right? The Federal Reserve is letting its balance sheet run off, which means it's getting rid of like as debt comes done, they just don't rehypothecate it back and it kind of goes away essentially. And the profits, they send it to the Treasury. But the market's not really buying that many mortgage bonds right now. So it is a sort of thing where, like, you know, if there was some purchases, like a little bit of mortgage-backed securities would help out in lowering, because if they really don't, all right, if they want to just keep slowly lowering the interest rates, the Federal Reserve could then print some money, or they're going to do it anyway, right? And buy mortgage-backed securities, which would help the 30-year and 20-year mortgages and stuff get the rates down lower. So that would end up, helping out the real estate market. Kiss the wall.
For the past year or so, we can see that policy is restrictive. If you look at the effect of high rates on interest-sensitive spending, for example, in housing, and if you look at the achievement of our goal variables, we're seeing the economy move toward 2% inflation and has moved largely to maximum employment. So we really look at movement toward the goal variables to make that assessment. Now, policy is meaningfully less restrictive than it was before we began to cut. It's 100 basis points less restrictive, and for that reason, we're going to be focusing
that's still
on seeing.
That is a large cut, but that's still nothing, because what were rates in December of 2021? 0. They were literally like, it was 25 basis points. 25 points versus, by the time they were done increasing, it was so it goes from 25 points, 0, 0.25%, 0.25 to 5.25. And they dropped it down 100 basis points. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not that good at math, but like, let's see here. Oh my God, my math is just so horrible, I guess. But like, if I had to guess, they literally they increased the cost to borrow money by 20 to 21 times, a 20x. They increased the costs to borrow money by 20x in about a year. And they lowered it by 20%, which is still. So they really did. I mean, the rates honestly should be probably like 2.75, maybe 3%. Like, if we lowered the rates another 125 basis points, then all right, we're starting to get in fair zone. I'm not for having rates at 0, but like somewhere floating between low 2s and high 2s, that would be more fair, right? Or I guess I could just, put on a little hat and just try to get an interest-free loan.
Jewish niggas.
What's up, nigga? Did I tell you last time you come around here, I'm gonna fuck you up? Now I'm finna get my Jewish niggas. We gonna stab your neck with my bristle knife. We gonna fuck you up, take your money, take your bitches. Shit, better back the fuck up before you get smacked the fuck up off top, nigga.
This is why crypto's the way, man. This is why crypto's the way. Where else is a normal person, unless you bust your fucking ass and like really, really work hard for many years and your business takes off, or you get lucky and you just catch a wave and you really make some money that you have enough to buy your house cash or get the 20% down. Because, man, let's just say you like the average house in a good area. I'm not talking about fucking middle of fucking nowhere. In a good area, you're paying $600,000, but realistically $800,000 to $1 million for a house, because that's where prices are going. You've had 2 hurricanes in Florida. The boomers are just buying it all up anyway and repairing it. So, I mean, like, right? you had a fire that destroyed about, I don't know, we'll see 15, maybe 30% of LA. We'll see. And on top of that, they're deporting a bunch of immigrants, criminals at first. It's mostly criminals, but eventually they're going to go after people working in the fields and people working in construction crews. And this whole cheap housing shit is not going to happen. I'm sorry. I have traveled many places here in the United States. You get rid of them. You get rid of them. People working in them fields and working in them construction crews. The cost to build a house is only going up to go up unless we fire everybody anyway, and it's just 3D printed houses. And on top of that, too, remember this, you guys. Most people through college went the white collar. Let's just say for I'm just guesstimating here, but 3 out of 4 males went white collar, where 1 in 4 went blue collar. There's a shortage of blue collar workers. And also, it takes a while to learn how to fucking work and build a fucking house. Trust me. I did it for years, and I still I was mostly working in the landscape and kind of irrigation side and shit like that. I only got okay with construction. That was not even my forte. I'm telling you, man. And on top of that, too, right? You deport a bunch of people, right? The who's gonna build all the houses in LA, bros? I don't know. We shall see. But I'm so very hopeful for the future. So, yeah. Follow them trends.
Real progress on inflation, or alternatively some weakness in the labor market before we consider making adjustments.
If I could follow up, does the economy here warrant meaningfully restrictive interest rates? And would you judge interest rates to still be meaningfully restrictive if you were to lower them by another quarter point?
So I think our policy stance is very well calibrated, as I mentioned, to balance the achievement of our two goals. We want policy to be restrictive enough to continue to foster further progress toward a 2% inflation goal. At the same time, we don't need to see further weakening in the labor market to achieve that goal. And that's kind of what we've been getting. The labor market has really been broadly stable. The unemployment rate has been broadly stable now for 6 months. Conditions seem to be broadly in balance. And I'd say look at the last couple of inflation readings and you see we don't overreact to 2 good readings or 2 bad readings, but nonetheless, the last couple of readings have suggested more positive readings. So I think policy is well positioned.
Colby from the New York Times. Colby Smith with the New York Times. Chair Powell, how should we interpret the removal of the line from the statement that inflation has made progress towards the 2% goal? Is that no longer the case?
No. So let me look. If you just look at the first paragraph, we did a little bit of language cleanup there. We took out a reference to since earlier in the year as it related to the labor market. And we just chose to shorten that sentence. Again, I mean, if you look at the sort of intermeeting data, it was good. And there was another inflation reading, I guess, just before the December meeting. So we've got two good readings in a row that are consistent with 2% inflation. Again, we're not going to overinterpret 2 good or 2 bad readings, but this was not meant to send a signal. Other than this, you can take away from all of this that we remain committed to achieving our 2% inflation goal sustainably.
And just to follow up, we've seen inflation expectations across a number of measures rise sharply, which has in part been linked to tariff concerns. But there's also been this encouraging data that you mentioned in terms of CPI and rent indices. So how would you characterize?
There's a lot to unpack there, but basically, the first part, at least as you're saying with tariffs, is tariffs are a good way to kind of generate income for the government and help the government kind of bridge the gap in order to maybe we can actually afford lowering taxes on people, which is pretty awesome. But at the same time, if the tariffs become too restrictive at some point, they're going to pass along some of those costs onto users, right? If it's like a 1% tariff, okay, whatever. We'll just pay it. That's it. If it's 25%, let's just say 25% for a piece of shit BMW, right? Who wants that shit? Not me. They'll just increase prices by that much more, 30%, and it'll be a higher cost for the consumer. But then you could also argue, well, then people will then just choose to buy more of American cars, which will help out the economy, right? So it is that sort of thing where like people who do sell the cars and are in that sort of blockchain are going to take an L, but people in the country centric, domestic market are going to take a W. So interesting, right? I think there's gonna be a little tit for tat and stuff like that, but regardless or not, in terms of in terms of like as a country, right? The United States gets most of its GDP from just buying from itself. Even though we do trade a lot and buy a lot of foreign products and stuff like that, it's not as big as a part of our economy compared to other economies. Other economies, like most of their GDP comes from selling shit overseas into other countries. So W Corvette, W Hellcat. That's right. It's also something too, like I had, who was I telling this to? I think I was doing this in a consultation. So I was telling someone about the Laffer curve, which is, so like, it's this whole thing where like, if I increase taxes to 80%, like the way the average politician, right? The way they think, right? If I increase taxes, we'll just generate more money. But at some point, you increase the taxes so much, it de-incentivizes people to want to pay taxes or work. And you increase taxes, but then you end up lowering revenue or money coming in. Where it's kind of this whole thing where like the lower the tax is, the more likely people will pay it, and the more possible revenue you can actually like generate, basically, right? So I think there's the same sort of thing in a way with tariffs, where low tariffs is going to generate some good income. Moderate tariffs someplace also be used as actually a political weapon, as a hammer. That's okay. I mean, that's what it's being used for, right? Or a bargaining chip, which is really mostly what the tariff stuff is going to be used for. But it is really interesting to see, like, at what point is like, all right, that's enough. 50% tariff on Colombian goods. It's not going to stop Coke from coming in. No more. I mean, more expensive Colombian coffee. Oh well. I'll drink Ethiopian, right? What else do they export over here? Flowers. I think we can grow flowers over here, you guys. Yeah. Oh, hey, Charlie. Yeah, politicians don't know shit about incentives or the economy or money for that fact. It's crazy how they charge in. Exactly. It's ridiculous, right? It's like, I was a house mother my whole life, and now I'm going to run the whole, ridiculous, dude. Absolutely true. Behavioral economics works, and it's real. Absolutely works. Art of the deal, man. Every Hellcat I see is being chased by 50. What does that mean? Glockomatics. Right. So it's, I think what's going to, let me tell you what will happen. Let me predict. Let's just say there is a 25% tariffs on all foreign cars that are trying to sell to the United States. Let's just say that happens, right? Protectionism, right? Unless they build factories here in the States, which is the workaround. BMW and Mercedes are going to pay a lot more money to rappers to talk about it. They're going to hype it up. So yeah. Anyways, I don't know if you have to choose between two, go Mercedes if you have to. But nah, man. But there's great automobiles here, dudes. Never buy an electric car. Never buy an electric car new. If I can give you some real good financial advice, this is actual financial advice. Don't buy an electric car brand new, unless you go to the dealership and they're giving you like 1 million deductions and stuff, and it's literally like you're getting it for like 70% off or something. All right, because man, dude, one of the worst investments you could possibly do is buy an electric car new. Bro, electric cars are worthless when you try to resell them. I have a couple of friends who tried to sell an electric car recently. The Teslas hold up better than some other ones, but man, dudes, you can't, on some cases you can't even give them away, man. Yikes, dude. I think a 50% tariff could cause a civil war in that country. I mean, it would like, I mean, basically, like, we're in the thing where, like, look, everyone wants to sell to us. We're the biggest consumer base on the planet, the United States government, the United States people. We're the consumers of the planet. And you want to make money, kowtow to the rules. And it's time. It is the sort of thing like NATO's, like, all right, NATO's wants all these countries that we're providing protection for. We provided that protection because we had a incentive, because we wanted to stop the actual USSR. Not the USSR is no longer there. We're providing pre-protection, free military bases to protect countries from their neighbors and stuff. And that's kind of what's going on. Where can I put this? USA is, yeah. I mean, we're and it's only going to keep growing too and stuff like that. Like, look, we can produce everything here in the States. The few things we can't get. I mean, literally, like all the rare earth metals. Do you know how much lithium they found and rare earth metals they found in Michoacan, in Mexico, dudes? We're going to be able to get it. We're not worried about it. Greenland's going to be taken because, you know. Now, I'm not talking about the high-end models. I'm just talking on average, bro. But, like, the M5s for breaking my wallet, bro. Oh, my God, bro. Yeah. Yeah, the M5 is... I know, I'm not shitting on the M5. I'm not shitting on the M5. But, like, dog, can we be for real, though? Man, them service. Now, I mean, hey, I can pay it if I want to. I'm not tripping about it. But for I know a lot of people that have those cars that can't afford those cars. And, whoo-wee. You know, I might get the little noise. I might start getting a little soundboard once I'm back in Vegas. A soundboard of, like, when the light goes off on a BMW and a Mercedes. It might actually cause like a the service light comes on a fucking BMW. Oh shit, dude. Rename Greenland to Orange Land. Oh, bro, I'm here for it, bro. I'm here for it. Let's do a flat or a fair tax instead, or progressive. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what ends up happening, man. I'm really hopeful, man. Now this whole anti-Semitism shit that Trump just passed. I don't know. That's kind of infringing on free speech a little bit. I'm not cool with that. I've had two things that Trump's done that I'm just not okay with. Like I think it's a little. I think there's going to be fought up a little bit. I mean, and that's pretty rare because most of the times with presidents from Obama, I mean, from that I remember, like Obama to Biden, Trump, and stuff like that. I've disagreed a lot with a lot of stuff they've done, but not so much Trump on the first term, but Jesus, dude, there's been one or two things only, but that's pretty good. Yeah, Lexus is nice. No, Toyota's already, the Japanese already made deals with the United States already. They're building Toyota factories here, Tacoma factory. I mean, they're building all the factories here, Lexus. So Japan's not stupid. They were like, all right, we're in bed with the United States, and there's going to be like Toyota's going to keep operating, no problem, no taxes and stuff. Because you build a factory down here, you hire American workers. Guess what? You get to sell. The cars with no taxes on it. Yeah. Boop. Let's go back a little bit.
And just to follow up, we've seen inflation expectations across a number of measures rise sharply, which has in part been linked to tariff concerns. But there's also been this encouraging data that you mentioned in terms of CPI and rent indices. So how would you characterize concerns about upside risks to inflation across the committee, especially those tied to policies related to the Trump administration?
Well, I'd say you see expectations moving up a little bit at the short end, but not at the longer run, where it really matters. And those could be related to what you mentioned, some of the new policies. I think where the committee is very much in the mode of waiting to see what policies are enacted. We don't know what will happen with tariffs, with immigration, with fiscal policy, and with regulatory policy. we're only just beginning to see, and actually are not really beginning to see much. And I think we need to let those policies be articulated before we can even begin to make a plausible assessment of what their implications for the economy will be. So we're going to be watching carefully, and as we always do, this is no different than any other set of policy changes at the beginning of an administration. We'll patiently watch and understand, and kind of not be in a hurry to get to a place of understanding what our policy response should be until we see how it plays out.
Michael McKee.
Michael McKee for Bloomberg Television and Radio. You and your colleagues normally condition future policy moves with the phrase, if the economy
You guys
develops.
should always pay attention to anytime Bloomberg's talking, bro. Bloomberg be asking great questions. This is a great service, by the way, as well.
Michael McKee for Bloomberg Television and Radio. You and your colleagues normally condition future policy moves with the phrase, if the economy develops as we anticipate. Is it fair to say that since there's a lot unknown about what this administration's fiscal policies are actually going to be, that you don't have a medium to long-term economic forecast that you can have confidence in? Or if that's not true, can you lay out what you think is going to happen in the economy, how you see it developing?
Well, at all times, forecasts are conditional at a minimum on just a set of expectations, and they're highly uncertain in both directions. We know that economic forecasting is really difficult beyond just a month or two out. So in the current situation, there's probably some elevated uncertainty because of significant policy shifts in those four areas that I mentioned: tariffs, immigration, fiscal policy, and regulatory policy. So there's probably some additional uncertainty, but that should be passing. We should go through that, and then we'll be back to the regular amount of uncertainty. So, what forecasters are doing, not just us, but everybody's doing, is they've got sort of just a set of assumptions about what might happen, but they're really kind of in the nature of a placeholder. And meaning, plausible could be, but honestly, you wouldn't stand behind it because you just don't know. And so you're just on hold, waiting to see what comes down. It's a very
He basically said, like,
economy.
The way you guys are always like, we're going to move things depending on what happens next week or what's happening in this past quarter, right? And it's like, so that basically means you guys don't know what the fuck you guys are going to do in the medium to long term.
And policies affected at the margin, but we're going to wait and see.
If I can follow up, the idea that you feel the economy, that policy is restrictive, suggests that the Fed in general wants to continue to lower interest rates. So when you look at the data that you are dependent on, are you looking for data that tell you that you can cut, or data that will tell you should hold?
We're looking. It's more the way it works is we are looking at the data to guide us in what we should do, and that's what we do. And right now, we feel like we're in a very good place. Policy is well positioned. The economy is in quite a good place, actually, as well. And what we do expect is to see further progress on inflation, and as I mentioned, as we see that, or if we were to see weakening in the labor market, that could foster, we could then be in a position of making further adjustments. But right now, we don't see that, and we see things as in a really good place for policy and for the economy. And so we feel like we don't need to be in a hurry to make any adjustments.
Howard Schneider with Reuters. Thank you very much. In 2021 at a central bank conference, you said, quote, throughout my career in both public and private sectors, I've seen that the best and most successful organizations are often the ones that have a strong and persistent commitment to diversity and inclusion. These organizations consistently attract the best talent by investing in and retaining a world-class workforce. First question is, do you still believe that? And if so, how do you...
Jesus, I literally was trying to listen to what this guy said, and it just sounded like mumbo jumbo. I think it's his voice.
My career in both... Howard Schneider with Reuters. Thank you very much. In 2021 at a central bank conference, you said, quote, throughout my career in both public and private sectors, I've seen that the best and most successful organizations are often the ones that have a strong and persistent commitment to.
Bro, my brothers in Christ, if I ever created a drug to have your hair grow back, I'd be a fucking trillionaire. A fucking trillionaire. A fucking trillionaire. I'd be the richest man on this fucking planet. I could sell it to chicks. I could sell it to dudes, bro. Can you imagine you take this pill? You got to take a pill once a week. Your hair is just like luscious. It's like starts slowly growing back. And then you got this mane right here. In order to upkeep, you got to take the pill once a week. Oh my God, bro. I'd be a trillionaire. He would be like, it's $100 a pill. $400 a month. Where do I sign?
Diversity and inclusion. These organizations consistently attract the best talent by investing in and retaining a world-class
Rogaine only stops your hair from falling off, but just barely. There's actually things that, like, for some people it doesn't even really work that well. And also there's allegedly with Rogaine, because it blocks like DHT and stuff like that, like some people have had adverse effects where they can't get boners anymore. So like it kills some people's sex drive completely. So it has some, yeah, you know. Oh, take this pill, your dick to grow to. Oh, bro, there's another $1 trillion industry. Oh my God, bro. I'd be like, hey, take this pill, 50% increase to your schlong, bro. And oh my God. Are you gonna go bald? I mean, I don't think so. My dad has a full head of hair. So does my grandpa, my great grandpa. Whatever pictures I have of my dad's, because my mom's dad died pretty young, but full head of hair. I don't think I have a single person in my family with bad hair. I'm trying to think. I just started getting some gray hairs at 33. Biotin's good. Yeah, biotin's good for your nails. It's sort of like I learned about all that stuff because, like, yeah, biotin's good. DC is tall. It doesn't matter if you have hair or not. Yeah, but let's be honest here. Good hair is good. Let's stop. Let's not sugarcoat shit. Well, my hair went, so I got to get wider. You know. Yeah, I'm only 14. Yeah, collagen's good. Well, all in. Well, 33 young. You'll be a trillionaire. Fuck it. I'll be Wes Watson before I lose my ability to fuck. Yeah. Well, if I was going bald, bro, I'd be like, fuck it. Trying to get on this TRT and fucking crank it. If you're bald, you're automatically 2 points uglier. Sort of. If you're just like flabby, but if you're in shape, I don't think it's that big of a detriment. But yeah, but at least a point or half a point. It's something, you know, because it's true. I mean, girls and people like people with full heads of hair. Let's just stop the lies. Like, but everybody, I don't know a single person. Like, I will say this though. I don't know a single person who doesn't have their hair thinning. I am from like the older you get, your hair thins out. But like, you know, if you could still have a really good head of hair, but you're like, you could tell like, oh yeah, like their hair is thinning out. Plus, also when you start getting a lot of grays in your hair, the more gray hair you have makes your hair look thinner as well. So like, you know, yeah, having a strong beard can override. Yeah. Tate's bald and gets mad pussy. Yeah, status. Yeah, I'm not saying my brother's in Christ. Okay. Andrew Tate is still Andrew Tate. But if Andrew Tate also had, I mean, full head of hair, more it's only a plus. That's all I'm saying. All your teeth, no hair or hair missing teeth. What? What? Yo, this is getting off course, you guys. Bro, this hair shit is like so. It's man. Let's just say my hair was gone. Like let's say it was starting to go back here. I'd make an investment into the Turkish lira. I mean, it's just the whole thing is if it's that big, just go to fucking Turkey, get it done or whatever, and just get it done. I don't know how much it costs. I would imagine it's probably less than 30 grand, probably 10, 15 grand. I would imagine. Anyways, back on topic, you guys. Hairlines. I don't cook, you guys. I Hebrew.
Workforce. First question is, do you still believe that? And if so, how do you intend to put that belief into practice while remaining consistent with the recent executive order prohibiting diversity and inclusion efforts?
So let me say yes, in answer to your first question. But to the second question, I want to say this. We are, like others.
Oh, my God. Fit Trigger, let's get... No hairs bothering Bezos. Bezos is the richest dude that we know of, right? Not really. Rothschilds and some secret, bro. But he's also the richest motherfucker on the planet, bro. Let's just stop with the cap, bro. Let's just stop with the cap. Can we fucking stop with the lies? This chat is in full denial right now. I love you guys. Stop it, bros. Stop.
That experiment is not concluded. Systems rebooting.
N2 developer found collaborating with Chinese niggas from Jinping Laboratory. SPX niggas actually thought they could steal advanced nigga chain technology. SPX founder forced to resign from the board of Real Niggas and burned all his tokens. You thought niggas couldn't orchestrate a coup? Yeah, this is a real nigga takeover.
Yes, if you're gonna be bald, you need muscles. You do. Or just be thin, or be like slight muscles, but good shape, and you know, just be super skinny, you know, good jawline. But if you don't have a jawline, you got to get biggest, you got to get wide as a Mack truck. But here's the thing, you know, I will say this though: you're better as a guy. You can still improve, right? You can get rich and shit, man. If you're fugly as a girl, man, fuck, man. Like I feel bad for like because it is this sort of thing where like. Man, if you're skinny and ugly, man, god damn it. But if you're fat and ugly, you're still fat, so you can get better looking. You know? Fuck, man. It's like you're 200 pounds, fugly as fuck, trying to get 260 Mack truck status. Let's go. Anyways, let's get back to it. What does Fed rates and hairlines have to do with the common folk? Is that the everyone's struggling in these streets right now. There's many men in the United States who would wish they could fly to Turkey or fix their hair up or go to Bosley's treatment for men and stuff, but they just can't. This is why we're talking about it right now. Just like the economy's in cope, so are people.
Diversity and inclusion efforts.
So let me say yes, in answer to your first question. But to the second question, I want to say this. We are, like others, we're reviewing the orders and the associated details as they're made available. And as
yeah, just be you guys. Just stay in shape and you'll be good. That's true. I'm not one to talk though, because I have I have perpetually been the last 2 years getting in and out of shape. At least an ugly chick can get their boobs done and get ugly. Yeah, but there's a point. I mean, but at some point, like the chick's just fugly. She's never gonna fuck like you like. Even if you're a fugly guy, if you reach, the chances are low, but like you can reach the pinnacle and be banging fucking 10s, 8s, bros. Because you can become super fit. Yo, my boy Don DeVito was clapping cheeks. That's why he's divorced. Pause. I love my boy Don DeVito. I'm not going to shit on this man. Man made my favorite movies. But man, it's true. Like I do feel like I feel bad for ugly girls, man. It's not. It's. This is the double standard we live into. But like men have to like. But at least we do have as guys. The one thing if we do have something over women is that we can improve our lot in life. Men, and I don't know if Joel Tomasi's still in here, but men are the diversity sex. So the woman genome doesn't move that much. Men are the variety. So women, like let's just say, like genetically speaking, half the men in history have never had a kid. So like it's this whole thing where like women are the choosing men. So slowly, I mean, basically the men are the ones changing the genetics because the men are growing in all these different ways, and then women choose the ones they want, and then the other half die off and don't reproduce into the future generations. So the actual evolution of humanity is being done through the women picking of the man.
Chain, the first AI layer 2 blockchain built on Solana by niggas for niggas. LLM, lot of little money's technology. Proof of nigga entry scan system. Nigga detection software. Dynamic bag chaser 1 Beryllium TPS. Nigga chain. Yeah, I'm finna bridge.
Everything I've said right here is fucking true. Become a Giga Chad, get them big booty Latinas. Or get them goth girls. That's it. That's it. And if you want to ask these questions, you guys, in the crypto mind, we're going to have a webinar with Rollo Tomasi in the crypto mindset course. The quad father himself. Swolo Tomasis. Don't deport them thick Latinas. That's right. You know, actually, if you think about it, all right. Tell me, okay, if we have a population problem right now, right? Okay, hear me out. Okay, right, give me a little rope right here, right? This has to do with the economy.
The science guy. The science guy. Bill.
Okay, listen, you
The science guy. The science guy. Bill.
Okay, listen, okay? What if we only deported the dudes? And we just kept all the bitches? I'm having trouble seeing the L's in the strat right here. What if we just chum the what if all we got to do is just we just import all the Colombian chicks only, Guatemalan chicks, Norwegian chicks. What if we all what if, American women are kind of how about we just import? How about we pay tariffs and import? What if in a room? What if instead of it being in a room, right? There's 50 men and 150 women. What if there's 80 women, 50 guys? I'm not seeing much of a fucking for one, they put the women in line because intersexual competition. You'd end up having more women competing against all the men and stuff, and then more women say, fuck it, I'm gonna go get a husband and man, because if not, I can't keep doing the cock cycle. Yo, you guys, I think I just solved the economy. Holy shit, you guys. I'm gonna get a Nobel Peace Prize for this, you guys.
Fuck ISIS! Fuck terrorists! Fuck turbans! Fuck everybody! I hate all you motherfuckers! We're fucking Americans! That means nobody fucking stops us! We want our dick sucked, we get our dick sucked! That's what an American does! Ask the fucking pilgrims! Fuck 9/11! Fuck 9/11! It'll never happen again! We're America! You don't ever have to be afraid again! Fuck Obama! Fuck them all! We're Americans, you son of a bitch! Grab your guns! Go shoot somebody!
Yo, someone get me Trump Jr.'s fucking DM, bro. I gotta talk to Eric, bro. I gotta talk to Don. Yo, I gotta talk to somebody in the yo, RFK, bro. Hit me up, bro. Holy shit. Jesus, man. Yo, damn, this might. I'm just chumming the water. I mean, we're still going to have hype. I mean, sure, if the 80 women are still want to fuck the 10 guys, but there's logistical problems to that. we're chumming the water. And let me tell you this, when there's that many women, even women know, like, oh, I can't play this game. They'll start going down the road. Like, if only the 10 out of the 50 guys in the room are getting fucked anyway, wouldn't it be a better situation if like 25 of them are getting laid now? I don't know, man. I'm heat brewing tonight, bro. I'm heat brewing tonight, man. Dude. Oh my God, man. Don't get to DCA, you guys.
Clarence, mate, it doesn't matter how many times we get beat down. What matters is that we get the fuck up and we keep fucking trying. You're right, Donny. Now, who the fuck are you, mate? I'm Clarence Claymore. Who the fuck are you, mate? I'm Clarence Claymore. Say it with your fucking chest. I'm Clarence Claymore. Show me what you got, mate. Take that. Fucking touch me, cunt. Fuck, mate. We got a lot of work to do.
Bro, if you want to know why, like, you want to like, let's be honest right here, right? Why are like the Nordic countries good looking? Why? Let's stop right now. Okay. Why like on average, why they're pretty good looking, right? Because when they invaded the countries, they fucked all the women. They only took the good looking women back. They fucked the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, the 6s, the 7s, the 8s, the 9s, the 10s. They only took back the 8s and the 10s and the 9s. This is facts, by the way. Epigenetically speaking. They left all the fugly bitches in the UK. Holy shit, man. Oh my God.
I know, yeah, I know, I know what it's like, baby. Yeah, I know what it's like, baby. See some titties in the club, you know what I'm saying? And I got one thing to say to you, baby. Let's get them fucking titties jumping out the fucking club, girl. Come on.
Quisiera que cuando llueva, en vez de agua cayera perico.
One drunk man is more intelligent than 3 women with PhDs.
Thank you so much.
That's the
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That's the
Mr.
Now, the Vikings did do that, except when they did it in Iceland, right? Well, actually, what happened there is that they stopped doing that, and because it's still, even though Iceland's the better one and the Greenland's the more icy one, right? I mean, that's literally what happened. I think Eric the Red did that. They just had an importation problem, and they literally do have apps, I think, on both islands to make sure they're not dating their cousin, because it's a huge problem. Just saying.
Has been our practice over many administrations. We are working to align our policies with the executive orders as appropriate and consistent with applicable law. And I want to add that I'm not going to have anything more specific for you today on this whole set of issues.
Well, if I could just follow up quickly on that, I'm wondering how you're getting that to be consistent with the Dodd-Frank law's stipulations about maintaining an Office of Minority and Women's Inclusion.
So I did mention consistent with applicable law, right?
He's basically saying I didn't fucking do that shit, but like I did the bare minimum to fucking not get in trouble, but gay.
Elizabeth. Thanks so much. Elizabeth Schulze with ABC News. Just to follow up on Steve's question, what reassurance can you give the American public that the Fed will continue to operate independent of politics under this administration?
You know, as I've said countless times over the years, this is who we are. This is what we do. We study the data. We analyze how it will affect the outlook and the balance of risks, and we use our tools to try to given our best understanding, our best thinking, try to achieve our goals. That's what we do. That's always what we do. Don't look for us to do anything else. And that's, lots of research shows that's the best way for a central bank to operate. That'll give us the best possible chance to achieve these goals for the benefit of the American people. That's always what we're going to do. And people should have confidence in that, as I said a few minutes ago.
You've said that the Fed is in wait and see mode based on the policies that come out of this administration. Has the Fed started to model what policies like mass deportations, changes in immigration policy specifically, would look like for the workforce and for inflation?
So one of the things our staff does is they look at a range of possible outcomes, and they tend to go from really good to really bad, and it's one of the best things that they do. And in each teal book, you can look at the 5-year-old teal books and see their alternative simulations. So that's what they do. There'll be a baseline, and then they'll show 6 or 7 alternative scenarios, including really good ones and not so good ones. And what those do is they spark the policymakers to sort of think and understand about the uncertainties that surround this. So yes, the staff does that, and we're all well aware that the range of possibilities is always broad, and not just now but always. And it's hard to be open to just how broad the possibilities are for an economy. No one saw the pandemic coming, and it was it changed everything. So things happen, and but yes, we do that. But it's different. It's one thing to do that, to make assessments about what might happen and begin to think about what you might do in that case. But you don't act until you see much more than we see now.
Katerina Saraiva, Bloomberg News. Last month you talked about a future rate cut as being pretty, significantly predicated on more progress in inflation. With the characterization of the labor market in the statement today, would you say that that's even more so the case now?
I'd say it's the same. We want to see, further progress on inflation. And, the story's there. We're just going to have to see the data. At the end of the day, it comes down to 12-month inflation, because that takes out the seasonality issues that may exist. And, we're just going to need to see that. We think we see the pathway for that to happen. One example, a key example, is that you now do see owner's equivalent rent and housing services, the way it's calculated for PCE. You see that coming down pretty steadily now.
So yeah, rents are coming down in a lot of places. It's mostly just rents are not going up, but with the things that we've seen both on the East and West Coast and stuff like that, with the hurricanes that hit Florida, and as well as the fires that's going into Los Angeles and stuff like that. I think that's going to be pretty much the case for kind of middle America, but as Trump kind of increases the economy and stuff like this, rents are probably going to start going up. Not relatively soon, but I'd say within a year you'll start getting a tick up, especially if crypto goes up, as well as the actual market itself, when we get some action in the real estate sector as well. Yeah, as well as if you get rid of illegals, in a significant sense, because right now they're just getting rid of illegals in terms of like people who are actually like illegal immigrants that are doing like crimes, right? But if you get rid of the guys actually doing all the work and stuff like that, that's going to increase costs. So we'll see. Unless they deport enough people where they should just freeze up supply. I don't know.
And that's the place where most of the remaining gap is. In addition, a big part of the overrun, as you will know, was from non-market services, which don't tend to send much signal. So you can look through all that and think, okay, that then we seem to be set up for further progress. But being seen to set up for it is one thing, having it is another. So we're going to want to see further progress on inflation. But remember, we're not, we're under 2%, but our goal is 2%, and we do mean to get back sustainably to 2%.
And in terms of the labor market, I mean, how is that broadly? You said a broad set of indicators show that it's in pretty solid place. Was there broad agreement on that? There's been a few underlying indicators that are showing perhaps some weakness, a low hiring rate, workers reporting that it's increasingly difficult to find a job. Is that of concern to the committee?
So you're right. I mean, we look at, of course, a very broad range. And so it starts with unemployment, with the unemployment rate, employment participation, wages, job quits, are people quitting, that kind of thing, the ratio of vacancies to unemployed. We look at all those things, and you put your finger though on it's a low hiring environment. So if you have a job, it's all good. But if you have to find a job, the job finding rate, the hiring rates have come down, and that's more typical of a. Let's say that the unemployment, that the labor market is at a sustainable level. It's not overheated anymore. We don't think we need it to cool off anymore. We do watch it extremely carefully. It's one of our 2 goal variables. But I'd say we watch those things quite carefully. But nonetheless, overall, look at the aggregate data in the labor market. The labor market does seem to be pretty stable.
So it's kind of funny when the government and a lot of like NBC and stuff, like when the economy is really good, they're like, God damn it! It's just so fucking hard. Like it basically, there's more competition to get workers, and then when the economy is doing bad, the employer has more power, which is like, yeah, I like that. He's like, yeah, he's like, it's hard. If you have a job, you should keep it. It's doing okay. You lose your job, you're gonna have trouble finding a job, basically. And what that means, what jobs there is, you're bootlicking to the company to give you a job, basically. Yeah. What do we got here? Froggy Crypto, man. DCC, I'm looking to get back into crypto. I have no positions at all. I have FOMO. It's a good time to DCA into Bitcoin, Ethereum. Yeah, you're fine. I'd probably go heavier Ethereum. I mean, you can still do Bitcoin, but I mean, we're in the middle of it right now. I mean, like, get a meme coin. If I were you, I'd get ETH. I get something like this: ETH, Pepe, Sui, Sonic. You have an L1 right there. You have a meme coin that's going to do better. Should do better than Dogecoin, or pump along with Dogecoin. Sui, another L1 that's really getting pumped up right now. It's come down a little bit. Sonic is really underpriced. You can get it cheap. And then Pulse Chain, if you're able to get into any of that stuff, depending on your level and stuff. And getting the next course, brother. Especially if you're coming in, don't fuck it up, Froggy, man. Get in, dude. Get in right now, because once we start pumping, bro, it's fucking gone. It's gone, dude. Right now. Get in. Virtuals on Sol. But when someone tells me they're getting in for the first time, I just try to, you try to tell them, like, what could they buy on exchanges today? Coinbase, Kraken, Crypto.com, Gemini. That's most people's that's what they can buy. They'll have it on exchanges, and then eventually, as they learn, they'll put it on a wallet. But if they're already like tech savvy enough to, like, I've got my wallet set up and stuff, I can transfer, I can get virtuals is only on Base Protocol right now. It's going to be on Solana. And the reason they didn't get listed onto Coinbase is because they were on Base Protocol only, and then they decided to port over to Solana. So Coinbase fucked them over and said, "Fuck you, we're listing your rival instead." Get into, that's right. Get some Grace currency on Pulse Chain.
Stable and broadly in balance when you've got an unemployment rate that has been pretty stable now for a full half year.
Edward.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Edward Lawrence with Fox Business. On employment, now you said there's a broad range of possibilities, but last September you said, quote, "We understand that there's been quite an influx across the borders, and that has actually been one of the things that's allowed unemployment rate to rise." Now that the flow of the border has slowed and we're seeing deportations, how do you expect the unemployment rate to react?
So what's happening is that the flows across the border have decreased very significantly, and there's every reason to expect that to continue. But job creation has come down a bit too. So, if those two things come down together, that sort of can be a reason for the unemployment rate to stabilize. In other words, the break-even rate, as population growth slows, the break-even rate that you need in new jobs to make make jobs for workers declines as well. So that seems to be something about what's happening. You do see a very flat unemployment rate at a time when you've seen significant declines.
I want to ask you about Fed employment. I know that tax money is not used here, but Elon Musk alleges that the Fed is, quote, absurdly overstaffed. We've seen the executive branch push.
He's like, I know you don't do that, but man, y'all have too many people hired.
The Fed is, quote, absurdly.
God damn,
At a
Elon.
time when you've seen significant declines.
I want to ask you about Fed employment. I know that tax money is not used here, but Elon Musk alleges that the Fed is, quote, absurdly overstaffed. We've seen the executive branch push to reduce the federal workforce. I just want to get your reaction.
You know, we run a very careful budget process where
You guys are saying too many people are too employed and stuff like that, but it looks like you ain't struggling to fucking have jobs over here.
we're fully aware that we owe that to the public, and we believe we do that. I've got no further comment than that. Thanks.
Damn, Fox News, bro.
Chris Rugaber at Associated Press. President Trump has said he will lower inflation by reducing gas and energy costs. Do you see such costs as a particular driver of inflation, and would lowering them have a dramatic effect?
Chris, I'm not going to react or discuss anything that any elected politician might say. So I'll give you.
Bro, but that's a real. But okay, he's right. Okay, sure, but that's a real thing. All right, answer me this. Riddle me this, Jerome. If gasoline at the pump went down by $1 or $1.50, is that pro-inflationary or de-inflationary, or does it help out? Does it make the economy grow? That's it. Doesn't want to say it'll help.
Mulligan.
Okay, thank you. Well, nearly 2 weeks ago, the Fed said it was withdrawing from the network for greening the financial system, even as we have significant wildfires in Los Angeles doing billions of dollars in damage. And of course, the NGFS, as you know, is a group to talk about how the financial system could address climate change. Many commentators did see the timing as political. Why did you leave that organization? Can you explain that decision?
Sure, I'd be glad to. So we considered this, really at length, and we did decide to withdraw from the NGFS. And really, the reason is that the work that the NGFS does has broadened very significantly. Think about nature-related risks and biodiversity and things like that. In addition, the work of the NGFS is in significant part intended to, and this is a quote, mobilize mainstream finance to support the transition toward a sustainable economy. So we joined to get the benefit of understanding what other central banks were doing and seeing.
Okay, so they joined this leftist organization to get information on other banks, but really it's just to look good that they're trying to help the not just the economy, but trying to help the environment. Then they figured out, it was a crock of shit, and they were just skimming us for dollars. Fuck that.
Research and things like that. I think this is just way beyond any plausible mandate that you could attribute to the Fed. And so we have a quite narrow role, as I've said many times. And I think that the activities of the NGFS are not a good fit for the Fed, given our current mandate and authority. So, and I just think it was time to acknowledge that, this process dates back a couple of years. I made the decision to bring this to the board, some months ago. The process just took time to get here, and this is when we got it and voted on it. So, and I'm aware of how it can look, but it was really not driven by politics. It was driven by kind of the disconnect between the work of the NGFS and our mandate. Other central banks have different mandates and belong to the NGFS. We have no criticism of them, but it just isn't. It's not right for the Fed.
Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew Ackerman with the Washington Post. I'm wondering if you could talk more about what further progress would look like for consumers.
Well, 2% inflation down to 2% sustainably is what we're trying to achieve. We're somewhat above that, as you know, and we want to see serial readings that suggest that we're making further progress on inflation. That's what we want to see, and consumers will pick that up, of course, in the things that they buy at the grocery store or at the store.
The other thing I wanted to ask was just how far away you think you are from neutral.
Yeah, you can't know with any precision, of course. As I like to say, that you know the neutral rate by its works. So I think, at 4.3%, we're above pretty much everyone on the committee's estimates of the longer run neutral. I think our eyes are telling us that our policy is having the effects on the economy. That's really the question we ask. You can consult models, empirical models.
A lot of the times they cause the crashes, and then they're too late to fix the crashes. So a lot of times they're not
theoretical models. You really have to just look out the window and see how your policy rate is affecting the economy. And I think we see that it's having meaningful effects in bringing inflation under control. It has helped bring the labor market into balance as well. So that's what we think. I would say we're meaningfully above it. I have no illusion that not knowing that and having cut 100 basis points means that it's appropriate that we not be in a hurry to make further adjustments.
Victoria.
Victoria Guido with Politico. So as a general matter, when it comes to executive orders and OMB memos, do those always apply to the Fed, sometimes never, or do you just often voluntarily comply? What is the legality there?
So it's been our practice, as I mentioned, to work to align our policies to those that are mentioned in the executive orders, and I'm just going to leave it at that. As I mentioned, I'm not going to go any deeper than that or get into any deeper into this set of issues today.
He's kind of avoiding so many questions. He's actually, I'm noticing he avoided a lot of females' questions. It's kind of hilarious.
Claire Jones from the Financial Times. Two questions, if I may, on tariffs. Well, first of all, we've seen global trade wars before, notably in 2019, last time around, but then we were in a very different place on both inflation and growth. If we see tariffs of the same sort of magnitude that we got then, which I know is big if, what do you think might be different this time around? And secondly, Tiff Macklem said there was no doubt that the threat of tariffs was a big driver of the cut by the Bank of Canada today. What sort of information would the Fed need to see on tariffs before it was willing to take such a preemptive move? Thank you.
Sorry.
What sort of information would you need to see on tariffs? Would you need to see a strategy, actual implementation, actual movement of inflation expectations before you're actually willing to change the path of monetary policy on the basis of it?
Yeah, so first of all, things are a little different now. We've just come through a high inflation period, and you can argue that both ways. You can say that companies have figured out that they do like to raise prices, but we also hear a lot from companies these days.
Right there. You hear that? You hear that, ladies and gentlemen?
Inflation period, and you can argue that both ways. You can say that companies have figured out that they do like to raise prices, but we also
right there. What did I say? The prices don't go back down, ladies and gentlemen. The prices only go up. That's it. So all this shit we're doing right now, basically we have to figure out how to make the worker and the person richer in the system because the prices are not going to come down. The dollar menu is not coming back, you guys. The McChicken 2 for $1 ain't coming back. The 555 deal ain't coming back to Domino's, ladies and gentlemen. The $5 footlong is gone. All we got is a Costco hot dog and Arizona iced tea. $4 for $4 for Wendy's. I don't know if that one's still around, but sure, yeah, probably not. Now, obviously, you shouldn't be eating any of that shit. Let's be honest. Oh my God! I'm getting really frustrated because basically these guys. Look, I feel like he won't answer anything because he'll be looked as political. But generally, motherfucker, the dude leading the country is going to do some shit with tariffs and shit. Do you think that's good or bad? I'm not asking you for political. I'm asking you for economic. But it's good. I'm getting frustrated with this fucking video right now just because he's fucking dodging and not answering. Normally, we can read in between the lines, but he's just being a bitch.
So hear a lot from companies these days that consumers have really had it with price increases. And so I don't know how that shakes out. Nonetheless, you're coming through a situation where we're not quite back to 2%, and that's just different. In addition, you know, the kind of footprint of trade has changed a lot as trade is now spread around. You know, it's not as concentrated in China as it was. There was a lot more manufacturing. It moved to Mexico and other places. So there are differences, and I just think the range of possibilities is very, very wide. We just don't know, and I don't want to start speculating, as tempting as it is, because we really don't know, and we didn't know, by the way, in 2018. You know, we didn't really know, and the range of possibilities very, very wide. We don't know what's going to be tariffed. We don't know for how long or how much, what countries. We don't know about retaliation. We don't know how it's going to transmit through the economy to consumers. That really does remain to be seen. You know, there are lots of places where that price increase from the tariff can show up.
This is 30 minutes in. This is the first time he's actually fucking talking about tariffs. I'm not asking for fucking whether you agree on yes or no. I'm asking what it'll do for the fucking economy. This is the first fucking time this entire thing we've been watching right now. He's talking about tariffs. So I'm going to rewind this a little bit. God damn, Jerome.
We don't know how it's going to transmit through the economy to consumers. That really does remain to be seen. You know, there are lots of places where that price increase from the tariff can show up between the manufacturer and the consumer. Just so many variables. So we're just going to have to wait and see. And, you know, the best we can do is what we've done, which is study up on this and, you know, look at historical experience, read the literature, and think about the factors that might matter. And then we'll just have to see how it goes.
Courtney talk.
Thank you, Courtney Brown from Axios. Two unrelated questions. The first is whether or not there was any discussion.
Damn, her name's Courtney Brown. Damn, son. Oh my God, bro.
Two unrelated questions. The first is whether or not there was any discussion about QT and the timeline for ending QT at this meeting. And then the second question is just
QT means quantitative tightening. So basically not decreasing the rates, and also letting the balance sheet run off and not basically printing money.
I wonder if the AI prompted sell-off in the stock market this week signaled anything to you about the state of financial conditions?
Shout out to my girl, man. She's asking the real questions, man. Shit, man. She deserves her job, man. You know she had to work real hard to get this job, for real, man. Shout out to her, bro. Shout out to Courtney. Oh, no, it's Courtney. It literally is Courtney. Holy shit.
Question about QT and the timeline for ending QT at this meeting. And then the second question is just, I wonder if the AI prompted sell-off in the stock market this week signaled anything to you about the state of financial conditions?
So let's talk about runoff. So the most recent data do suggest that reserves are still abundant. Reserves remain roughly as high as they were when runoff began, and the federal funds rate has been very steady within the target range. We track a bunch of metrics, and they do tend to point to reserves being abundant. We do intend to reduce the size of our balance sheet to a level that's consistent with implementing monetary policy efficiently and effectively in our ample reserves regime. We're closely monitoring a range of indicators to assess conditions, and that should provide signals whether reserves are approaching a level that could be judged as, quote, somewhat above ample. I don't have anything to say to you about particular dates. It's just that.
So when the Federal Reserve prints money, they buy bonds They basically buy treasuries, some bonds, and then basically mortgage-backed securities. So they're still holding on to a lot of basically money printed that they have from these banks and stuff like that, and the United States government. And because these bonds have to be paid back when quantitative tightening, when most people don't know, hey, we're not adding to the balance sheet. That basically means they're not just not rehypothecating, but they're not. What's a really good simple term for this? Like, they're basically not trying to get another mortgage back on it and stuff. So like normally if you take debt out on a house and the house goes up in value, you can get another mortgage on it, a secondary mortgage on it and stuff like that, and just take the value out and kind of put in, or at the what's going on here is that he's essentially has a giant hex staking ladder, and instead of restaking it, he's just like letting the hex go into his wallet, basically, in a way. So like, well, that's sort of not really that. But okay, I'll just explain it. So basically they lent out a bunch of money, but because his money has to be paid back, it is being paid back slowly, and the bonds are being paid back. That money draws, because the money's now coming back with interest. That sucks the money out of the economy, and then because they print the money, now the money goes back into their thing, and they just delete it. And then they just boom. So it goes to zero. And if there is a little bit of profit made on the money's just the profits outside of costs for the Federal Reserve, then sent to the Treasury. So essentially it destroys money and deletes money off the system. So over time, because these bonds are all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 30-year bonds over a long period of time, it's actually getting rid of like global liquidity, basically. So that's QT.
That's the process, and what we see is that the rates do appear to be abundant. As always, we stand ready to take appropriate action to support the smooth transition of monetary policy, including to adjust the details of our approach for reducing the size of the balance sheet in light of economic and financial developments. On AI, it's a big event in the stock market and in particular parts of the stock market. I mean, what really matters for us is macro developments, and that means substantial changes in financial conditions that are persistent for a period of time. So I wouldn't put that label on these events, although of course we're all watching it with interest.
Simon Urbanovich with The Economist. Thank you. You mentioned in your remarks that activity in the housing sector seems to have stabilized. At the same time, since your first rate cut in September, long-term mortgage rates have gone up by a full percentage point, back above 7%.
That's what I was fucking talking about, ladies and gentlemen, man. So the rates have just gone up.
Seems to have stabilized. At the same time, since your first rate cut in September, long-term mortgage rates have gone up by a full percentage point, back above 7%. I'm wondering, kind of looking forward, are you confident that activity will remain stable given how elevated mortgage rates are? How does it fit into your broader thinking about the economy?
So, as you know, as we've reduced our policy rate 100 basis points, longer rates have gone up. Not because of expectations, not principally because of expectations about our policy or about inflation. It's more a term premium story. So, and it's long rates that matter for housing. So, I don't think I think these higher rates are going to they're probably hold back housing activity to some extent if they're persistent. We'll have to see how long they persist. So. We control an overnight rate. Generally, it propagates through the whole family of asset prices, including interest rates. But in this particular case, it's all happened at a time when, for reasons unrelated to our policy, longer rates have moved up.
Jennifer. Because they're no longer in the market buying mortgage-backed securities, and the Japanese can only buy so many, and the Chinese are no longer buying. So, yeah, and the India hasn't even started. If we replace the China with India, because that's what the white globalist dudes are doing right now in India, eventually the Indian government's probably going to start buying treasuries and mortgage-backed securities.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Jennifer Schonberger with Yahoo Finance. You said you want to see further progress on inflation. Given that households appear to be unhappy with the elevated level of prices, do you believe the committee should wait until inflation has fallen back to target to cut rates again?
No, I wouldn't say that. We've never said we need to be all the way at target to reduce rates. At any time, what we're doing is we're looking at the economy and asking whether our policy stance is the right one to achieve maximum employment and price stability. So I think if we would want to see further progress, but we think our, as I mentioned, we think that our policy stance is restrictive, meaningfully restrictive, not highly restrictive, but meaningfully restrictive. And so I would think we need to see further progress. I wouldn't say all the way back down to 2% on a sustainable basis, although we'd love to see that, of course, and we will.
And a separate question for you on tariffs.
That was interesting, actually. Let me rehear that again.
As I mentioned, we think that our policy stance is restrictive, meaningfully restrictive, not highly restrictive, but meaningfully restrictive. And so I would think we need to see further progress. I wouldn't say all the way back down to 2% on a sustainable basis, although we'd love to see that, of course, and we will.
Means maybe 3%.
And a separate question for you on tariffs. Curious whether the threat of tariffs and not knowing whether they could stick or not creates uncertainty for business here in the United States and could cause them to pull back, ultimately weighing on growth. Does the threat of tariffs cause you to ponder your growth forecast?
You know, I want to avoid commenting even indirectly on the conduct of tariffs. You know, it's not our job, and it's not our job to comment on the moves that people make. So I wouldn't want to criticize anything that's happening or really comment on it one way or another, praise it for that matter. It's just not our job. I do think that, you know, we found in 2018, there was a lot of work done on trade policy uncertainty. Trade policy uncertainty, if it's large and persistent, can start to matter for businesses making investment decisions and things like that. That's not something I'm observing today. It's very early days for this, but I think that did matter in 2018-19, and it's one of many things we'll be watching.
Matt.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Matt Egan from CNN. Following up on Courtney's question from earlier about the stock market, how concerned are you, if at all, about potential asset bubble brewing in financial markets? How do relatively high market valuations factor into considerations about potentially lowering interest rates further? Is that something that's in the back of your mind?
So we look at, from a financial stability perspective, at asset prices generally, along with things like leverage in the household sector.
That's such a lie. Half the time, look, I've been watching this fucker for years, and they always say, "Oh, we're never looking at the markets. The market, we never look at the actual financial markets. We're just always looking at the job data, and the purchases and selling of houses and things like that, and the actual inflation rate. But we never look at the markets. He just admitted we always look at them. God damn it, these fucking liars. You see, great head of hair. You see, asking Chad questions. Damn, bro, damn.
Are you, if at all, about potential asset bubble brewing in financial markets? How do relatively high market valuations factor into considerations about potentially lowering interest rates further? Is that something that's in the back of your mind?
So we look at, from a financial stability perspective, at asset prices generally, along with things like leverage in the household sector, leverage in the banking system, funding risk for banks and things like that. But it's just one of the four things asset prices are. And yeah, I'd say they're elevated by many metrics right now. A good part of that, of course, is this thing around tech and AI. But we look at that. But you know, we look at how resilient the households and businesses and the financial sector are to those things. So we look at that mainly from a financial stability perspective, and we think that there's a lot of resilience out there. Banks have high capital, and households are actually overall, not all households, but in the aggregate, households are in pretty good shape financially these days. So,
yeah, I would say upper middle class and up. middle class, lower middle class, poor, everything, man. They're fucking struggling, bro. What are you talking about? They literally were laughing. It's like, like right now, like watch, you guys can go back to my streams like a year ago. They were like, man, I just, we just don't like how high. They basically were just working around saying like, wow, right now, since COVID times, American savings have gone up to 20%. That's really high. And then literally like beating the go. They were like, finally, saving rates of Americans has gone down below 3%, which is really good. Like I was like, so you basically were mad that they were basically mad that Americans had too much savings. Thank God. Now the savings are back down to 2%. Thank God.
That's how we think about that. We look at overall financial conditions, and you can't just take equity prices. You've got to look at rates too, and that represents a tightening in conditions with higher rates. So overall, financial conditions are probably still somewhat accommodative, but it's a mixed bag.
Hi, Chair Powell. I'm Richard Escobedo with CBS News. One question for you. This month's statement notes that unemployment is stabilized at a low rate and that the labor market is solid. You walked through some of what's driving this, but I wonder what risks you see that might challenge your assessment.
Well, the things we discussed earlier, one is that there's a low hiring rate. And so that if there were to be a spike in layoffs, if companies were to start to reduce headcount, you would see unemployment go up pretty quickly because the hiring rate is quite low. So that's one thing we look at. I think it's worth pointing out that for lower income households, they're under significant pressure. And in the aggregate, the numbers are good, but we know that people at the lower end of the income spectrum are struggling with.
What the fuck did I just say? God damn. Good.
With costs, and really it's high inflation for the basics of life. It's not so much the inflation now, it's the price level, because inflation has raised prices. Inflation is now much closer to target, but people are really feeling that. But overall, this is a good labor market. You're at 4.1% unemployment. That's just a really good level, and you've been solidly there now for 6-7 months. And job creation is pretty close to a level that will hold the unemployment rate there, given that there'll be much slower population growth.
One more question. Some of the
whoa! What was that about population growth? Let me hear that again.
For 6-7 months, and job creation is pretty close to a level that will hold the unemployment rate there. Given that there'll be much slower population growth.
Wow, that's the first time I've heard him talk about population growth. Interesting. Basically saying like if all things stay the same, it's gonna be not that bad. But if population growth increase, that means like that could actually mean from the deportation, but also from lack of actual like babies being born, because if babies are being born, that only increases the amount of jobs in the system. Essentially, like babies being born is like 18 years of just like send it, and then as soon as these kids start going to the labor force, it destroys the labor force because there's so many people competing for so little jobs. It's what happened to the baby boomers in the 70s and stuff. Is like as soon as they left college and entered the workforce and stuff, you had a bunch of kind of you basically had like stagnation of you had stagnation of basically pay for jobs and stuff. So it was really hard for a lot of baby boomers initially to get their jobs in the market, but once that happened, it was off to the races because there wasn't enough jobs at the time and stuff, but eventually there was. And also, they kind of slowly during that time started allowing women to get jobs as well, which didn't help. Yeah. Not on the Japan level. I mean, bro, in Japan, the population thing in Japan, they're over here saying like, if you're white and you want to fuck Asian women, come to Japan.
One more question. Some of the uncertainty around immigration policy is, in your assessment, is that making it harder for businesses and the Fed to plan going forward?
We hear anecdotal reports, but I don't see, there's nothing in the data yet on that. But you hear that kind of thing about construction, for example, and businesses that are dependent on immigrant labor are saying that it's suddenly gotten harder to get people. But I know you don't see that in the aggregate data yet, but yes, you hear it anecdotally.
But here's one thing. I mean, I'll tell you, at least from what I've seen from like the ground over here in California, I can't speak for other places, but at least since 2019, 2018, there really wasn't that many. And honestly, it already, as soon as you had the crash, the real estate crash of 2008 or 2007, 2008, the amount of immigrants coming into even California and stuff had been pretty low already. Like as soon as we got into the teens, there wasn't that many people immigrating. Obviously numbers are going to fluctuate, of course, maybe more immigration towards, more border towns and stuff like that. But there wasn't that many new people coming into the area, but that's anecdotal, right? Not, No.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Nicholas Jasinski from Barron's. The uncertainty is certainly a theme today, and I'm wondering, are there any periods from your career or as it relates to markets, the economy, what's going on here in Washington and beyond, or from lessons from history that may provide some guidance for a central banker operating in uncertain times like today?
I guess I'd say this: uncertainty is with us all the time. It is human nature, apparently, to underestimate how fat the tails are in a way. The possibility, we think of things in a normal distribution, and in the economy, it's not a normal distribution. The tails are very fat, meaning things can happen way out of your expectations. It's never not that way. I wouldn't, if you think about it, think about the first few months of the pandemic. That was uncertainty. Are we going to be able to reopen the economy? If so, when? How much of it? How long will it take? That was uncertainty. What we have now is a good labor market. We have the economy growing at 2 to 2.5%. Inflation's come down to now the headline inflation number was 2.6, and that's what the public experiences. We look at core because it's a better indicator of future inflation. So yes, the price level went up a lot for inflation, and people are feeling that, and they're not wrong. But so the kind of uncertainty we have is just a usual level of uncertainty about the economy, but then policies which are not for us to criticize or praise, really. Those are policies which people have been elected to implement. They're implementing them with a view to making a better economy. And so I wouldn't call this out as one of those times. I wouldn't compare it to the global financial crisis or anything like that, given that we have actually a very good economy right now.
Evan Reiser with Market News International. Chair Powell, is a March cut still on the table? And then additionally, are you looking to see better than expected data on inflation to cut? Or are you looking for inflation data that roughly aligns with current forecasts?
So as I mentioned, the economy's strong, the labor market's solid, downside risks to the labor market appear to have abated, and we think disinflation continues on a slow and sometimes bumpy path. That tells me, and the other members of the committee, the broad sense of the committee actually is that we don't need to be in a hurry to adjust our policy stance. Your second question was?
Well, okay, let's just take him at face value. Let's just say he's right? Like they're like, yeah, we're not really rushing. When could we get cuts, right? So we have meetings here, right? So these right here are the 2025 FOMC meetings where they can announce, the cuts are going to be made, right? Usually the decision's done here or very early in the morning, and then boom, it's out. So if they're saying March, May, June are more likely where we're going to have some cuts. I never count any dates out and stuff. It's with all the stuff. If Trump's stuff, because like a lot of Trump's stuff, as well as if any trade war stuff goes on, it's going to start happening February 1st, and it actually can start happening March 1st, depending on when these threats and stuff. I mean, we're only we're 9 days into the presidency. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. I think Trump's most active days are going to be the first 100 days. So interesting. So Obviously, we got some data coming out in June and stuff like that. So more than likely May. If they're timing it something like no, yes, no, yes, no, and then that's how the end of the year. September could be another one. May 7th. Interesting. Maybe it's on May and go away. Trump should buy Pulse Chain, definitely. Trump's mostly buying Ethereum, though. Wonder why.
Whether or not you need to see better than expected inflation data or just inflation data that roughly aligns with your current forecasts?
You know, it's one of those things, we'll know it when we see it, but more the expectation is that we will make continued progress. And, you know, that's what we want. We'll know it when we see it. It's going to have to be something that isn't just idiosyncratic. You're going to want to see, you know, continued progress with housing services inflation. You're going to want to see inflation behaving in a way that builds confidence that we are really making progress. That's what it's going to be. And I mean, is that better than our expectations? If we expect to see that, it's just a question of when.
Hi, Chair Powell, Scott Horsley from NPR. In your 5-year review, you said the 2% inflation target won't be on the table. Can you talk a little bit about why? Is that because you think that's the right target, or is it because you don't want to move the goalpost mid-game, or what's behind that?
I think that goal has served us well over a long period of time. It's also the sort of global standard. I think that if central bank wanted to look at changing that, you wouldn't do it at a time when you're not meeting it anyway. I would not look at changing it anyway, but I certainly wouldn't look at it at a time when you're not meeting it. I mean, there's just no interest at all in changing it. If I'm being at all unclear, we're not going to change the inflation goal anytime soon.
And 5 years ago, if I can paraphrase what y'all decided, it was you're going to not raise interest rates preemptively to head off inflation until you see sort of the whites of the eyes of inflation, because the solid labor market was so beneficial. Have the last few years changed your thinking about that?
So what we really said was that we wouldn't.
No, he actually did say that. I specifically remember that. He did say that. No,
The solid labor market was so
God damn,
beneficial.
bro.
Have the last few years changed your thinking about that?
So what we really said was that we wouldn't look at a strong labor market and raise rates unless we saw some evidence of inflation. So the thought was that we'd seen really low levels of inflation, of unemployment.
So what basically he's saying is like, yeah, like, I mean, pretty much what he's trying to defend himself on is basically, and kind of what I said earlier, is that the Fed always fixes the problem after the problem's already started. Sometimes they could see the market and be like, you know, things are starting to get a little hot right now, and they just don't do shit and let it get over hot, let it get overheated, then fucking correct it after it's already been fucked. Where like they actually could be a little more proactive, but part of that is also too pressure, right? It's like the bull. We've fucking been working a long time. Let the bull run really run, because if let's just say Jerome Powell started seeing how things are trying to get a little hot right now, we started increasing interest rates by 50 basis points, and then they're like, we're just keeping it there. That's enough to kind of slow shit down a little bit and kind of jerk the market and maybe end the bull run, right? But not give us a giga crash. So I kind of see both sides of it, but I mean, you know, them increasing rates could end the bull run, right? So, you know, it could have shortened your bull or your ability to sell, right? Oh, get the fuck out of here! Really? There's a rumor that Joe Biden pardoned SBF. Well, they passed that anti-Semitism bill or whatever, or like that shit is so unconstitutional, bro. That's breaking the First Amendment. If I have to spend all day hearing jokes about, man, Miguel, I'm gonna deport you, or ISIS coming, Miguel, I should be able to say everything I want about anybody else as well. You know?
Jewish niggas. What's up, nigga? Did I tell you last time you come around here, I'm gonna fuck you up? Now I'm finna get my Jewish niggas. We gonna stab your neck with my bristle knife. We gonna fuck you up, take your money, take your bitches, shit, better back the fuck up before you get smacked the fuck up off top, nigga.
Yeah. Yikes.
Sign of inflation. So why would you preemptively want to put people out of work?
Basically, it's you can talk shit about Christians, you can talk shit about Muslims, you can talk shit about black people, white people, Asians, Mexicans, but them boys, I don't know. That's so hypocritical, man. That's such poor, like, I don't know, man. That's kind of fucked up. I mean, if you're gonna make people, you should be able to make fun of everybody or nobody, right?
In the absence of any kind of any evidence that suggested that this was not a sustainable level. It was a way of acknowledging how much humility we have about the starred variables, especially U-star, the natural rate of unemployment. So that was that was an insight. We'll discuss that again. That'll be one of the many things that we discuss. But I don't think that insight is wrong. We didn't, we said what we said was that, at times when inflation persistently undershot 2%, we would likely allow inflation to run moderately above 2% for some time. That's what we said. That turned out not to be relevant to what actually happened. There was nothing moderate about the overshoot. It was an exogenous event. It was the pandemic, and it happened. And our framework permitted us to act quite vigorously, and we did once we decided that that's what we should do. The framework had really nothing to do with the decision to. We looked at the inflation as transitory, and right up to the point where the data turned against that. And when the data turned against that in late 21, we changed our view and we raised rates a lot. And here we are at 4.1% unemployment and inflation way down. But the framework was more irrelevant than anything else. That part of it was irrelevant. The rest of the framework worked just fine as we used it, as it supported what we did to bring inflation down.
Let's go to Mark for the last question.
Hello, Chairman Powell. Mark Hamrick with Bankrate. As you know, in the annual report from the Financial Stability Oversight Council, among the risks outlined is cryptocurrency.
There we go.
Could you talk about those risks now? And regarding individuals and households, perhaps distinct from the concern.
All right, you guys, pay attention. Mark Hamrick right here, man. This he's chatted out right now, he's asking the questions the people want.
Among the risks outlined is cryptocurrency. Could you talk about those risks now? And regarding individuals and households, perhaps distinct from the concern about the financial system, do you worry that speculation in this unregulated asset class could hurt their financial well-being, or do you think it has a place in a household's portfolio?
So our role with Bitcoin really is to look at, with crypto, really is to look at the banks. And we think it's, banks are perfectly able to serve crypto customers as long as they understand and can manage the risks, and it's safe and soundness. A good number of our banks that we regulate and supervise do that. The threshold has been a little higher for banks engaging in crypto activities, and that's because they're so new. And we don't want to make the mistake. If you're making a choice to conduct that activity inside a bank, which is inside the federal safety net with deposit insurance, then you want to be pretty sure that it's a safe and sound activity.
So they can facilitate transactions and make money off of it. Last I saw, don't 100% quote me on this, I think banks can hold up to 2% of their balance sheet in crypto assets, if I remember correctly. I think it was 2%. But they can facilitate transactions and make money off of like fees and shit, which would be cool.
Activity. So,
but also at the same time, fuck them. But at the same time, yeah, we need it. So like, golden cage, you guys. Let's get rich off this shit, bro. They're just get rich.
We're not against innovation, and we certainly don't want to take actions that would cause banks to terminate customers who are perfectly legal, just because of excess risk aversion, maybe related to
Jerome Powell, crypto mindset. Mr. Jerome, do you hold any Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies? That would be the fucking question, sir.
Regulation and supervision. So.
And with respect to households and their inclusion in that asset class?
That's kind of it's not really our bailiwick. You want people to be knowledgeable about the financial engagements that they have, and that's why we have the securities laws that we have. It's why if you read a mutual fund prospectus or individual stock prospectus, you want households to have the chance to understand the risk that they're taking. And I do think it would be helpful if there were a greater regulatory apparatus around crypto, and I think that's something Congress was working on quite a lot. We've actually spent a lot of time, with members of Congress working together with them on various things, and I think that would be a very constructive thing for Congress to do. Thank you.
There we have it, ladies and gentlemen, man. Jerome is positive on crypto, at least from the banking level, which is pretty good. And he's like, oh, yeah, people should be informed on their investments and stuff. So, yeah, if you're smart enough, get into it. Beautiful. I love it, man. But I guess before we sign off, let's take a little look at the market real quick, man. Why not, right? I got you guys on here, man. Sonic at 48 cents. Would I buy? Yes. Let's see in the last 24 hours what's the lowest it's been. 45 cents, not bad. Would I still buy here? Yeah, it's cheap. It's 2 for $1. Less 2 for $1, bro. 2 for 1, baby. 2 for 1. In America, this is the last 2 for 1 deal in America right here, you guys. Right there, man. Let's see what else is on what's on the menu. Pepe did a nice little drop. It's done a little correction today. You know what I found out? The Dogecoin millionaire guy, he just started like tweeting recently about how much he's got into Pepe and stuff like that. So that's interesting. Let's see the last 7 days. About here, let's look at market cap wise. Where did he drop to? A little less than I thought, but yeah, basically what I said, DCA, but I thought it still could, if we get another little correction, it still could come down to 420, but 5 billion market cap is pretty good. I mean, shit. We look over the last 3 months, right? I mean, this has been as high as 11 billion. 50% discount. One of the top meme coins in the whole game. Dogecoin, where's SHIB? SHIB has dropped quite a lot. SHIB used to be right there, right here, but it's dropped quite a lot. Even Cardano's pumped a little bit. I mean, look at Cardano. Cardano, you couldn't give away Cardano for 25 cents. Look at that. Let me look at Tron. Tron's, something interesting happened. They're going to take Tron out. They're going to take USDT off something, and then they just $1 billion of Tether was just printed on Tron. Interesting. Let's look at last year. 41 cents. 11 cents. Recently, 20. Yeah, it's at a 2x from a year ago, and then it did pump up here for a second. Interesting. So it's done okay-ish. Ton tokens pumping Sui under $4, motherfuckers. You guys were like, Miguel, I can't buy enough at $5. I'm not going to buy any here. This is when you buy. When it was up here at $4 or $5, I can't buy enough, Miguel. You think it'll go below? You think it'll go below $5? It's at $3. I don't know. Miguel, it's kind of getting tough here to buy. This is where you buy, ladies and gentlemen. You buy some here, and if it goes lower, you buy more. Litecoin might get approved very soon. There's been a lot of chop on Litecoin. Boom. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. I've doubled my Litecoin stack. That's all I'm going to say. Near's going to have a run. It hasn't run at all. It's been between $3 to $5 and really $4 to $5 for a long time. So this is not bad. Ondo's should be okay. The only thing that scares me about Ondo is if I look at the last year, right? Is this the right one I'm talking about? Yes, this is the right one you're talking about. Yeah. Let me go to the max here. Oh, that is max. Perfect. 21 cents. Popped up here, $1 something. Yeah, it looks pretty good. The only thing you got to watch out for is just the supply increasing on Ondo. But Ondo's pretty good RWA. There's yield farming opportunities. It is a little more CFI. But this one should be one I think it's going to be going up a lot. And I think they just recently did a deal with XRP and stuff like that too. So this is a good little side play if you want exposure to retards. I think TradFi Ondo might be a good little ticket because it was just recently up to $2. It hasn't really actually dumped that much. That means people are actively buying it and accumulating it right now. I think you're better off buying Ondo than Aave, but hey. Kronos, yeah, Cas was still at 12 cents, man. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, it's $1. FET's looking not bad right here. Render, not too terrible. Render's actually past FET. I should let you see something, man. Radium. Jupiter's actually starting to pump now because they're finally fucking burning supply and doing something with the token supply. Let's see where Jupiter's at right now. $1.12, man. That's good. It's going in the right direction, not down. It's not bad, yeah. Still cheap, though. It's still cheap. Anything else we got here? Sonic's looking good. Get your Gala. Virtuals is finally giving us crash, man. I mean, the lower this bitch goes, the better, man. Virtuals is going to Solana. It's good. It's got good tech. Why not? Let's see. It peaked out here at where? What is that? What, $5, right? Yeah, $5. It's come down now about 66%. That's good. It's a good little dip. This is where I start dipping my toes into virtuals right here. It's $1 billion's a good psychological level. This is where I'd start getting some. But in terms of where you have to buy, it's mostly being purchased on it's mostly being purchased on base protocol through Aerodrome and stuff like that. But you can pick it up in a couple other places here. I don't think it's on any major ones just yet. No. So that might be something to kind of look into and stuff. So there's still exchange listings on virtuals, which is good. So that's not bad. Anything else here? Boom, boom. Look at the top 2 pages. Kala Tezos. In terms of Murad, right? Like, if you're going to buy a coin from Murad's list, it's probably going to be this one right here, because this is the one that's got, like, he's mostly backing the most. Because, like, look, he has a whole list. He has a whole list of coins, right? And let me see if I can share the list to you guys real quick. Let me find it. Maybe I liked one of these fucking posts and shit. Where we are. Oh yeah, today's officially the day, the year of the snake. Shout out to my boy GG33, man. Interesting times. Interesting times. Let's see, Murad. I will try to find this, but I'm not finding it right now. Did I save it? Let me see if I can find it. But basically, a lot of the Murad coins that he had on the list are in huge losses. But yeah. Yeah, let me see if I can find it. I really want to show you guys this stuff because it's interesting. But this is probably the one to buy just because it's got all the mind share. There is kind of a point where, like, there's just too many fucking coins to buy at some point, right? You're like, all right, which one's the one that's mostly going to be like the one that people are going to follow, right? But here it is. Yikes. Now he's not holding all of these, but I think he's holding a portion of them and stuff, right? Because some of these are not the ones he's recommended. He's losing mind share, yeah, because like the meme cycle is not over, but it's just calmed down, right? If we look at here, right, Giga's done good, Pepe's done good, Mudang, Bonk's barely kept up. Frog, that's the one I got. Did really good. I took some profits on that, so I bought down. But like some of these coins are fucking down bad, bro. And a good portion of these were on his list and stuff. So it's like kind of like SP, this one Giga. Pepe's not really even on his list. He said it was too expensive, but I mean it's on here. I think they just put kind of like coins he's mentioned and but like most of these coins are down horrendous. There's going to be a recovery on them, of course, right? I mean, when things pop back off, but like, you're probably better off buying that one. I mean, like if I just look at market cap on SB69, it's $1 billion market cap. That's pretty cheap. So like it can go 20, 30 billion or something like that. That's a 30x. It's, that's all. That's kind of all the stupid shit you can do, But yeah. Punky monkey. But with that, you guys. Oh wait, one more. I guess we got a couple super chats. Let's answer them. Bunkai, my man. Thank you, brother. We got Punky. How many estimated X's for Pulse and Beats in February? Well, I hope for Pulse we get a nice 2-3x. That'd be nice. But there's hints at the lawsuits. A lot of the SEC lawsuits are just going to get thrown out. So that'd be nice. That'd be a nice run up on Pulse Chain. I think Beats. I mean, as soon as Phantom goes up, I mean, you could get a 3x on the Beats price really easily. I mean, Beats back. I mean, Sonic back to $1. You'd get at least a doubling in the Beats price, but probably like a 3x or more. Wherever it moves, everything kind of moves in tandem with that. Zenith, Padre Hexo, what's your thoughts on Meteorite, Dial, Rolex, Datejust, Daytona, and the Meteorite constant? Are they worth the hype? I think they're worth the hype. I mean, Meteorites are worth the hype because once they're out, they're out. I think personally, brother, I would go for the Rolex Daytona because you'd be able to resell it, and there's just more of a they're not buying any more Meteorite that they've said so far because of ESG shit or whatever the fuck, for being in the European Union. But I'd probably get the Rolex Daytona versus Omega. Omega is a different company and everything like that. If I'm thinking of the right company, right? That might they could probably continue to get more. So like I only know that there's going to be supply constraints on the Rolex one plus Daytona. Everyone knows what a Daytona is and a Rolex and stuff or a Datejust. I think you'd be better off that way. Personally, I'm going to get the Meteorite Pepsi dial because the Pepsis, for people who don't know, you get your Pepsis right now before the prices go up. Like Rolex is no longer going to make the Pepsis, which basically is like this little. Let me see if I can show this. On this one, this is just this is a bluesy, right? It'd be like half blue, half red. That's a Pepsi dial, where it's like a blue and a red. They're going to retire. It's one of their older models and stuff. They're going to retire it, so those will start kind of going up in value because you can't get Pepsis anymore. But yeah, grind set. But with that, you guys, thank you so much, man. Make sure to sign up for the Citadel. It's pinned to the top of the chat. We are going live with the Crypto Mindset course. February 7th, man. Can't wait to catch you guys in there, man. I'm going to be in the Citadel tonight, answering questions and doing all kinds of cool stuff, man. So with that, man, thank you so much. And for just a little recap, Fed's not increasing rates, but they're going to have to. As Trump gets more and more in the zone, they're going to have to kowtow, man. So with that, man, thank you so much. Peace.
Good afternoon. My colleagues and I have researched a future-proof method to hedge against inflation in the current financial climate. After discussion with a prominent Atlanta-based AI researching lab, we've developed a modern monetary system. The Federal Reserve will be bridging all assets to AI Layer 2, creating a NIGA electronic cash standard. This is in effect immediately. Welcome to the future.